Hello everyone, welcome back. It's great to be with you again. I greet you all with respect and warmth. In today's broadcast, we'll dive deep into the intensifying Cold War between the United States and China. We've said it before. The old world order is crumbling, and the new one has yet to be born. At the heart of that fading order stood a single power, the United States of America. It built the modern global system in the aftermath of World War II and led it for decades. But now, America's grip on global leadership is slipping, and rising to challenge that leadership, perhaps even claim it, is China. Tensions had been brewing between the two powers for years, but when Donald Trump entered the scene, that tension exploded into a full-blown geopolitical showdown. Make no mistake, a new Cold War has begun, a fierce one. And while no one knows if it will erupt into open conflict, both nations are swelling with pride, flexing their muscles and showing their teeth. It's a global standoff, and the stakes are rising. If you asked what the most dramatic shift in U.S. foreign policy has been in recent years, the answer would be clear. Trump's relentless push to sever economic, academic, and technological ties with China. Through sweeping trade tariffs, severe visa restrictions, and bans on technology exports, Trump's administration has aimed to unravel the intricate web that binds the two superpowers. He wants to make America less dependent on China. He wants to weaken Beijing. But experts warn this strategy might backfire. The price could be too high, even for America. Trump's second presidency has launched a new offensive against China, a campaign many are calling Decoupling 2.0. And the message this time is crystal clear. Be tough on Beijing, no compromise, no softness. But this time the measures are even more aggressive than before. High tariffs are back, but now they're sky high. Chinese students face new restrictions, and American companies are now banned from selling key technologies, semiconductors, aerospace components, and more, to China. Hundreds of thousands of Chinese students living in the United States now live under a cloud of fear. Their visas could be canceled. Deportation is a real threat. Officials claim it's a matter of national security. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio recently announced new visa policies. He warned that students studying in sensitive fields, especially those alleged to have ties with the Chinese Communist Party, pose a potential threat to American interests. But there's no clarity on how those ties are defined, who is a threat and who is not. No answers have been given. Under Trump's policy, even an anonymous tip could be enough to get a student deported, and that's part of a broader pattern. Trump's immigration policy has turned into a witch hunt, and Chinese nationals are at the top of the list. Trump's team claims it's all about protecting American interests. But critics say the approach is reckless, hasty, and may backfire spectacularly. Let's talk numbers. Before the pandemic, over 11,000 American students were studying in China. Today, that number has plummeted to under 800. Many never returned after COVID. Ironically, in November 2023, Chinese President Xi Jinping visited the United States and announced a plan to welcome 50,000 American students to China over 5 years. But with rising tensions, authoritarian drift in China, and mounting mistrust, such educational exchanges are quickly becoming a thing of the past. Meanwhile, Chinese students have long been the backbone of many U.S. universities. They fill classrooms, bring talent to labs, and help fund cutting-edge research. We're talking about some of the brightest young minds in the world, fueling innovation in America. There are over 270,000 Chinese students enrolled in U.S. institutions. And they're not just learners, they're one of the biggest financial pillars of American higher education. Yet Trump supporters, especially those in the Make America Great Again, MAGA crowd, believe these students are spies in disguise. They fear China is stealing America's scientific secrets and smuggling them back to Beijing. But this battle isn't confined to education. Even during the COVID pandemic, trade between the two countries remained strong. Now that's under direct threat. In April, the Trump administration slapped Chinese goods with tariffs as high as 145%. China hit back with retaliatory tariffs reaching 125%. That tit-for-tat escalation shook global markets. Eventually, Washington blinked. Tariffs were rolled back to around 30%, and both sides declared a kind of truce. Talks resumed, negotiations were promised, but economists warned these trade wars could devastate global supply chains and send U.S. prices skyrocketing. Trump's vision? Revive American manufacturing, bring industry back home, rebuild the heartland. But has it worked? So far, there's no real evidence of a manufacturing renaissance in the U.S. Critics argue that a meaningful decoupling from China can only happen in concert with allies. Europe, Canada, Mexico. Without them, it's a suicide mission. But Trump prefers to go it alone. He ignores warnings, pushes ahead, and that's creating cracks in the Western alliance. Europe, for instance, is taking a different path. Rather than sever ties, EU leaders have adopted a de-risking strategy, reducing dependence on China in sensitive sectors without burning all bridges. For the first time in decades, US and European foreign policies are diverging, and they can't seem to find a unified approach to China. That signals something bigger. The West is starting to fracture. Even more alarming, Trump's decoupling crusade isn't just about China anymore. He's imposing record tariffs on countries across the globe. During Biden's presidency, Democrats tried to court countries like Vietnam, Thailand, and India, drawing them away from China and into the Western sphere. Trump? He hits them all with brutal tariffs, no exceptions, no strategy. The result? The number of countries feeling victimized by the U.S. is growing, and so is America's isolation. As America distances itself from China, it's also distancing itself from the world. That comes at a diplomatic cost. Student exchange programs and academic partnerships long served as hidden channels of dialogue between the U.S. and China. The presence of Chinese students on American campuses once fostered empathy and connection. Now, as those links are severed, mistrust is rising. International relations experts warn, when ties break down like this, it's often the first step toward conflict, a warm-up to war. The biggest battleground? Trade and the economy. For 30 to 40 years, the U.S. outsourced low-value manufacturing, especially in industries like textiles, to China and other developing nations. Meanwhile, high-profit sectors like tech and design stayed in the U.S., flourished, and grew. It's important to remember, many of the factories in China producing goods for export were owned or funded by American firms. And China, once seen as a hub for cheap and low-quality labor, dramatically upgraded both its quality and scale of production. Now China is catching up, step by step, to the U.S. Trump wants to reverse that globalization, but his abrupt and often poorly thought-out moves are proving costly, or could be. The reality is that the United States economy is deeply entangled with the rest of the world, especially China. Many American companies still manufacture in China, others rely on Chinese components. In both consumer goods and industrial products, Chinese imports dominate. In some categories, over 80% of products in the United States come from China. Last year, bilateral trade between the two countries neared $600 billion, and while two-thirds of that was United States imports from China, not all of those goods were Chinese in origin. Many were American-designed, American-owned, and simply manufactured overseas. So, if tariffs are jacked up high enough to halt trade, the United States economy will feel the shock, and it's already happening. American producers and consumers are starting to grumble. Inflation could spike in the coming months. But trade isn't the only battlefield. There's another front in this Cold War, one just as dangerous: critical materials. China controls a significant portion of the world's supply of rare earth elements and key components used in electronics and defense. Now Beijing is preparing to limit, or even ban, exports of those crucial materials to the United States. If that happens, many American industries could grind to a halt. Trump's advisors, it seems, didn't fully grasp the risks. They should have seen this coming. If the United States continues down this path, it might succeed in reducing its dependence on China. But the price could be unbearable. Higher prices, weaker economies, vanishing cooperation, and the death of mutual understanding. Perhaps even war. By cutting off relations in the name of security, Washington might be sacrificing the one thing it needs most: empathy and dialogue. We are, without doubt, in a new Cold War. Before Trump, the Democrats kept tensions with China at a lower simmer, managing the rivalry with careful diplomacy and open communication. But Trump? He charges in head first. No filters, no breaks. To be fair, many of Trump's goals, reshoring jobs, reducing reliance on Beijing, protecting American industry, are also shared by Democrats. But the difference lies in execution. Trump's methods are so aggressive, so unilateral, that they may end up hurting America more than China. That's the story we've tried to unravel in today's broadcast. And here's the most dangerous twist of all. If things spiral out of control, the ultimate casualty could be the United States dollar. still the world's dominant reserve currency. If Trump's confrontational stance leads to a broader rejection of American leadership, the dollar's global supremacy could be shaken. And that would be nothing short of an economic earthquake. A country that prints the world's money cannot afford to build walls around itself. But that's exactly what might be happening. If you're still watching, you must be into it. So go ahead, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment. I read every single one.